Hi, everybody. It's Crystal. Um, I really debated about whether to share this in a public way because I don't really know what I have. But I'm realizing more and more that I'm pretty sure that I have COVID-19. And I have been pretty sick for about a week and possibly longer. The thing that's really tricky with this is that getting tested. And even if you get tested, whether you're going to get a false negative or not. And so I felt like I couldn't say anything until I knew, and the chances of me knowing while I'm still sick are slim. So I really believe that information is important, and people close to me have known about what I'm going through, but I feel like I'm ready to share with more people, and because I'm getting a lot of questions too, and people wanting to know what they can do, what I'm doing, how to get through this. So I figured I would share my journey. It's going to be a little long, and it's going to be detailed because I know that people want to know kind of how I found myself here. You're going to catch me drinking water. I wrote some notes for myself, and then if things really get bad, you might see me use an inhaler, but I'm hoping I don't need that. So the first thing you should know is that I work from home. I'm very, very lucky in that sense. And I have been working from home for a while. The first signs of things really shifting for me is that I also work for a DJ company. And back when Governor Newsom declared state of emergency, we started losing some of those gigs. So that happened a while ago, back in early March. So started losing the DJ gigs, and then the schools closed. So I was also subbing at a preschool. All of that work also went away. So I was spending more and more time at home. My mom, who is in the vulnerable category, stayed home from the moment they said people over 65 should stay home. She stayed home, and I was running errands for her, going to the store, going to the pharmacy, all of those things. I also was supposed to, you may have seen the video, I was supposed to go to a conference. I think it was like the second week in March. And it was in Anaheim. I went down, stayed the night in a hotel, go to the conference. They bring us all together, and then and then they announced that it was canceled. Now I don't know when I contracted the virus. I have no way of knowing. But as things started to shut down and people were asked to stay home, I found myself being more and more exhausted, and to the point that I was trying to take classes, dance classes online, and I found myself just like getting like 20-30 minutes into the class and just being like, I'm so tired, I have to stop. I wrote that all off to just being stuck inside, not being very physical. So I didn't really think much of it. I had a little bit of a cold here and there, that kind of thing. The biggest thing happened the week before last. So I apologize, but right at the beginning of April, I had basically what happened was I had been eating at home and only eating at home and only cooking for myself. And I was starting to feel bad about all the small businesses out there and the restaurants that I love. And so I ordered food from one of the restaurants that I love for my mom and I took food to her and I ate some. It was the first time I ate away from home in a couple weeks. And I ended up by that night having like the worst stomach ache I've ever had. It lasted all night long. I couldn't sleep. I was desperate to figure it out. I took everything I had to take to try to make my stomach better from digestive stuff I've had in the past, and nothing worked. And I put a call into Kaiser, and they just told me some over-the-counter stuff to do, probiotic and Gas X and that kind of stuff. That basically made me feel better within like a day or two. That was like a Wednesday, and then by Friday I started feeling normal again. And I started feeling so good that I was like, whew, okay. So Saturday and Sunday, like April 4th and 5th, around that time, I did like a whole like dance stretch workout thing Saturday and Sunday. Felt really good. And then Sunday night, I started having kind of the beginnings of like sinus. Excuse me. I know I'm not supposed to cough into my hand, but I'm all by myself. Excuse me. I started having like sinus pressure and sinus headache, and I went to bed like normal that night. I woke up Monday morning and my sinus stuff was still just so bad, so I started taking over-the-counter sinus medication. Now what's important about that is that it has acetaminophen in it, which is a fever reducer, but I wasn't, as far as I knew, having any kind of fever. I just was having my normal kind of like sinus stuff. So I started taking that. I was taking it kind of all day Monday. Monday night I decided to like cook some dinner or whatever, and I started just feeling hot, and all of a sudden I was like, oh shoot, I should be checking my temperature. I started checking it, and it was 99.6, 99.7, not really a fever. And then I realized that the medicine I was taking was a fever reducer. I don't get fevers like ever, so this was strange for me to get a fever, to get any kind of a fever, and then especially to be on a fever reducer and getting those a little bit of heightened temperature. So I actually didn't take it for a little bit to see what would happen, and I was starting to kind of feel. I have a history of asthma. I have had asthma in the past. It's been a very long time since I've had any asthma attack or asthma incidents, and so I don't have an inhaler on hand. And I was starting to feel what it feels like before an asthma attack, and it's not quite shortness of breath, but it's like it's where it's labored and your back kind of hurts. Just from like the work of breathing. And I was starting to feel that way, and I was trying to sleep and I couldn't sleep, and I was feverish. My temperature was kind of up to 100 or so. The breathing, all of that, and I just started to get worried, and that's when I called into Kaiser. And they sent me, they asked me some questions. Because I didn't have an inhaler at home, they wanted me to go into the ER. I begged to not go. I wanted to do anything but go. But I decided I should. They made it a very strong case for why I should. And so I headed to Kaiser. I have nothing but good things to say about my Kaiser ER experience. They caught me right at the door. Once they determined I was somebody that they were ruling out COVID-19, they took me in through a separate entrance. So I never was in the waiting room with anybody else. Took me into a separate entrance and into a private room. Everybody that came in and out of there had protective gear. And they did, they listened to my lungs. My lungs actually sounded clear, which was a relief. They did an EKG just because I was feeling that tightness in my chest, and they felt like I should have that. That guy came in looking like, he looked like from E.T., like he had the head thing and the tube with air moving from, it was crazy. Excuse me. So, the doctor said that it could be COVID-19, but that my symptoms were not severe enough for them to test me. So they prescribed me 2 inhalers as well as like over-the-counter medication. So they had a procedure where the pharmacy brings down the prescription so I don't have to go and wait anywhere, so I'm not exposing anybody. They delivered those things, and then they even had a security guard actually escort me even out of the place. So unfortunately I had to stop at a CVS on the way home to get the over-the-counter Flonase, nasal spray, over-the-counter sinus medication. And then I headed home. So those next couple days were really rough and scary. I was by myself because it wasn't safe for anybody to be with me, and it was really hard on me and hard on my mom and my friends. I have amazing support system that have showed up for me and helped me get what I need while keeping themselves safe. I was very reliant on the inhalers. I was using it the 1 albuterol inhaler I was using every 4 hours. Even when I was asleep, I would almost wake up at the 4-hour mark needing the inhaler. And that's a tough feeling. I figured out a way to prop myself up in bed. That was key. Being able to not lay flat so things wouldn't settle in my lungs. So I figured out a way to do that with a lot of pillows. And I basically just slept as much as possible, laid on my couch and watched things, limited the amount of times I was on the phone. My friends were really good about just texting and not necessarily calling. I started to see like little bits of progress. I got a little less tired. I'm still pretty tired because it's Monday. So it was a week ago, basically, that all this started. Tomorrow will be a week since I went to the ER. And I'm now, as of yesterday, I'm able to space out my inhalers a little bit. I'm able to do it every 6 hours instead of every 4. And that's huge. And I'm having a little more waking hours versus sleeping hours. And that's also huge. This thing is scary. And I did take myself for a test because I wanted to know. And the test that I went to get through the city is a mouth swab test, which I've now researched and found out has more chances of giving a false negative. So I don't know. But when I went and got that test, they said it's going to take 7 to 10 days. And all I can say is if I'm not better in 7 to 10 days, we have a bigger problem on our hands. So the test results won't really matter because what I have is so unique to anything I've ever had before that I really think it is COVID-19. Biggest question I got is what were my first symptoms? Like I said, it was my feeling like I was having a sinus thing. I would recommend not taking something that's a fever reducer right away so you can really gauge whether you have a fever. It's also very possible that digestive episode that I have could also have been related because you can have a stomach attack from this with diarrhea and all those things as part of COVID-19, which I didn't know before all of this. This is my medicine bin. I finally consolidated everything. I'm still, I'm taking the probiotics still because I've heard that that's really good for you. I have the Ventolin inhaler, which is albuterol, that I do every now 6 hours. I have something, this inhaler is called Alvesco. I don't really know what it is. I take that once in the morning, once at night. I personally am hypothyroid, so I still am taking my thyroid medication. I am taking a daytime and nighttime sinus relief, just over-the-counter medication that's also helping keep my fever down. I am having a little bit of heartburn here and there, so I'm still taking my Lanta. I have been doing vitamin C since all of this started, and then when I had my stomach attack was when I stopped doing it because of the acid. Eating oranges and emergency with orange juice wasn't really working, but now I'm back to doing at least a big orange every day and emergency with orange juice with emergency in it. I just finally got today, it took forever through Amazon to get some vitamin D3. So I started that today. I also, zinc is one of the things they say, zinc and elderberry. So I got elderberry and zinc gummies today, also through Amazon. I'm still doing Flonase once a day. And what else? I think that's it. Believe it or not. Chicken soup. Hot tea, hot things, as hard as they are to drink. I also forgot to mention I can't taste or smell anything. So there's that. And that's annoying because everything I eat, I don't know. So I am getting better, but that has not changed. I can't smell or taste anything. And that's where I'm at now. I'm getting better, and that's important. And I know I just talked for a really long time about this, but people have questions and want to know. And if you have questions, please just write me a comment and let me know. This is a tough thing. It's been hard to go through alone. And I know that I have all kinds of love and support. It's hard to not be able to have somebody right by you. So I have listened to everybody, Chris Como, Pink, Daniel Day Kim, anybody that I can find that has gone through this or is going through this, I've listened to. And that's helped to know that I'm having similar experience with them. But the hardest part is that I've had to advocate for myself medically because I don't have a doctor following me. My primary care doctor apparently took off for a couple weeks, which I've heard a lot of Kaiser doctors have done. No offense to them. I don't know the situation. But any issue I have, I'm having to call in myself and just make sure I'm doing what I need to do. And luckily, I was raised to do that. And that's the biggest thing, has been advocating for my own health. And like I said, I'm getting better. And I know this is a really long video, and if you made it through, kudos to you. You win a prize. I don't know what it is. It'll be a hug from me when we're out of this, right? I'm still smiling. I'm still watching shows, and I finished a 642-page book last night. Thank you already for all the love and support you guys have given me. I've needed it, and I believe that I'm just going to continue to get better, and this is all going to be okay. And we're all going to be okay, and we're going to get back to our lives, and yeah. But I miss you guys. I miss all the kids. I miss all my friends, and I miss hugging my mom. That's really hard. So thank you guys, and I'll give you an update when I'm doing even better. How about that? Okay. All right. Bye, everybody.